We'll have another session on this, another very important topic, innovations in teacher, trainer, learner engagement. We already heard this topic repeatedly coming back in discussions. But this session we will focus on this. And I'm very pleased to briefly introduce the moderator for this session, Mr. Cesar Onestini, Director of European Training Foundation. I think those who work in TVET sector at the international level, we all, I think, know a European Training Foundation. It is a European Union agency supporting countries around European Union in terms of education, training, labor market systems. And so Mr. Onestini has been leading this organization, and he has, before this position, he also worked on different strategic positions of European Union. So I'm very pleased to welcome him. Of course, the European Training Foundation has also been a very important key partner for UNESCO-UNEVOC. So the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure for me to be here with you and to chair this panel, which I think it's going to the heart of the discussions, looking at innovations in TVET teacher, trainer and learner engagement, one of the areas without which there is no innovation. So I think we have the chance to have a very distinguished panel here. We have Ricardo Lamadrid, who is the Director of the Technology and Advanced Learning of the Basque government at the Ministry. Thank you for being with us. We have Boon Seong from Singapore, from Temasek Polytechnic. Thanks for being with us. Wen Mingyang, who is here from the UNEVOC Center of Shenzhen Polytechnic. And we have Denise Amiot from the Community and Institution Canada. She's the president, but all four of them have very distinguished careers which cover all areas of from teaching to running institutions to running public institutions. So they have to doing research on this. So we have here on the panel a wealth of expertise and experience, and we want to really make the most of it in this session in the afternoon. We in the European Training Foundation, as was mentioned, we work with a number of countries, and when we go to countries and we ask them, why do you want to reform your TVET sector, we usually get very similar answers. The first one is, we want to increase numbers, we want access, we want to get more people going in this. Secondly, we want to have to meet the needs of industry, jobs market, skills gaps. That's what we have. And thirdly, we need to improve the quality of teachers. And then when you ask them what is the evidence for these areas, on access they have some numbers. They show you, okay, you know, we have, you know, we are improving or not improving, and we are moving. On skills gaps, more or less, we see that they have some. On teachers, there is hardly any evidence usually. And when you ask, but why you point to teachers, oh, well, you know, it's obvious, you know, teachers are part of the problem. And then when you look at it and you say, well, you know, let's understand this better, I think we need to do a little bit more thinking about this, because, and I'm sure the panel will help us in this, because teachers are actually the solution, if not the biggest part of the solution. So I think we want to look at this from a different angle, and this is one area where thinking about the work that we should do in support to reforms, we still have a long way to go. We have for this panel one key question, which is, what are the core issues, challenges and innovations in TVET teacher, trainer and learning engagement? So identifying these challenges, and I think what I'd like to do is to also maybe put up the question and ask you to, at the start of the panel, so that we see what you have, maybe log on and put in what for you are the three, or one or two or three essential elements. But I'd like you to do one thing, not give the answer that you think is expected, but think about your experience, whatever institutions you're representing, whatever, and think in that context, what are the key challenges in the context that you are most familiar with. We'll start with the presentations now from the panelists, and then as soon as the presentations are done, we'll look at what you tell us and see whether all the words and all the ideas that are here in the room have been reflected, or whether there is something we need to come back to maybe and add or bring over some new ideas. I will not speak much longer. I will have a chance to speak to you tomorrow a bit more, so I'll keep my chance for the panel tomorrow. But I will start by giving the floor to the first presenter, to Ricardo.
Okay, thank you, Cesare. And thank you to UNESCO-UNEVOC for inviting us to this forum, because it's a great honor for us to be here. I will try to explain briefly what are we doing in the Basque country. Okay, we have a short time, but I will try to explain it. Here you have our references in the legal context in the Basque country. We have previous TVET plans. We also have a Basque TVET law, and we have the 5th Basque TVET plan. The Basque TVET law published in 2018, this law has been considered by the European Commission and as one of the most innovative laws in Europe last year. About the Basque TVET plan, this plan is focused on the 4th industrial revolution. And we need, in the Basque country, the TVET centers and the TVET system needs this plan to manage the change from the innovation to the intelligence. This plan contains 9 strategic guidelines and 43 aims, and also 169 course of action. Here you have a small picture and scheme of our plan, but afterwards I am going to concentrate on the first strategic guideline, the learning in the context 4.0. Reactive. This is one question for all of you. Reactive, from our point of view, from the moment that we are reacting, we are arriving late, so we have to anticipate. But we are so concerned about these items of these issues, the soft skills and the technical skills, but both in the same level. And more questions for all of you. What future jobs will be? How we will define these jobs? How we will train people to face those challenges? We talk about replaced tasks, supplemented tasks, modified activities, and new jobs. But what is demanding the labor market nowadays? And I would like to share with you a short video.
Today I'm visiting another company. For us as teachers, it's important to find out firsthand what companies need and what they expect from our students.
We in the company want people who are self-sufficient, responsible people, adaptable, creative, proactive, innovative, and tolerant. People who above all know how to work in a team and who can adapt to new environments, and who also have the ability to express themselves and understand other languages. People who care about the environment, something that's also important for us, and who can handle difficult situations, who can solve problems, and are eager to work. What you would call nice people. Responsible people, and tolerant. We in the company, sufficient, responsible people, eager to work. We in the company, adaptable, creative, proactive, innovative, people who care about the environment, responsible people, what you would call nice, 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 nice.
So we should prepare teachers, trainers, and learners for this contest. We have defined, in the Basque Country, we have defined what nice people means for us, okay, but in the Basque Country. The future workforce needs a culture, scientific and technological components, of course, a professional components, high qualification, and in some cases, we have the specialization. But we shouldn't forget the values. I have put there the 4.0 values because these values are going to live in the 4.0 contest. The workforce will need to manage the complexity, to analyze, to understand, to decide, to prosecute, to synthesize, to transmit. In the Basque Country, we are resetting part of our teachers, trainers, and learners' mindset. And we are building a new one with this kind of visions, an intuitive vision, a creative vision, an informative vision, constructive, analytical, well, you can see in the screen. And new capacities to produce proposals, to establish objectives, evaluate priorities, generate alternatives, social skills, communication, face-to-face and empathy, originality, reasoning. We are working with our students, with our teachers, with our trainers, and they have to be able to solve complex problems, to look for creative solutions, to interpret and to connect different events. But for us, for the Basque government and for the Basque TVET system, the human dimension is a priority. The emotion, the feelings, the heart, the intuition, the imagination, and resourcefulness, because this is going to be the difference between the human and the machines. We speak about the digitalization era, 4.0 environments, artificial intelligence, VR, ER, robots and cobots, but for us, we have to be most worried about the era of the humanity. And now, how do we implement it in the Basque Country? As I heard before, the teachers and trainers' role is the key. Most students hear what teachers say. Some of them do what teachers say, but most of them do what teachers do. And now I'm going to share with you a concrete example about how do we work with the soft skills. We have the main important program is the change-based collaborative learning. And when I'm speaking about the challenges, I would like to say that they are real challenges. Challenges coming from companies, challenges coming from municipalities, challenges coming from the society or, I don't know, different stakeholders, but they are real challenges. And we work with teachers and with learners in these challenges. We have here our methodological system, ETASI. The meaning of ETASI is in Basque, but the meaning of ETASI is high performance courses. And this method is a disruptive methodology change to adapt our students to the professional profile that the society needs to be competitive. And then inside this methodological system, we work different skills as teamwork, creativity, flexibility, digital skills, green skills, communication, I don't know, to be able to analyze, understand a lot of different skills. Here is a small picture of our methodological system. All the, I don't know, the people or teachers, trainers, or students have to pass these different 11 steps. Okay. We create new figures in our TVET centers. For example, the learning coordinator. We have a training program for this role or for this figure. This program is to lead the methodological change in each center. The aim of the program is to develop the necessary skills to design and deploy the methodological change project in the center. As Shamal said before, how do we this change? Networking and partnership are the key main issues or strategic guidelines. We have different training programs to our teachers also to teach them in the new methodological system. We have also a repository for the methodological change in the Basque country. This repository contains everything related to the methodological change, challenges, activities, links, and is a digital repository. We designed a new tool to measure the evolution of every skill, soft skill or technical skill, but it's for every skill. We have also a monitoring tool. This tool is to diagnose the process of implementation of ETASI in our centers, and also to ensure that what we do, we are doing it well. Spaces, we have to change all the spaces to boost the methodological and the cultural change in our Tibet centers. So, finally, as we say in the Basque country, to maintain our level, we have to run. But if we want to improve, we have to run very quickly. Thank you so much.
Thank you. This was great. In 10 minutes, you really gave us a feel for what's happening and some of the challenges, but also the responses that have been developed. And I like that you have your own definition of nice people, so we can see if other panelists have different definitions of what nice people are. Next on the list here, I have Wen Ming. That's okay. And I'll give you the floor and 10 minutes as well.
Thank you. And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Here I want to report the Innovating Tibet Teaching and Learning in my college in Shenzhen Polytechnic. And what we are doing is that embrace artificial intelligence and the engaging ecosystem. Here, ecosystem refer to skills ecosystem, refer to industries, employers, and government. Now let's see my outline. The first one, Shenzhen Polytechnic profile. Number 2, systematic innovation framework. Number 3, AI's impacts on Tibet. Number 4, AI solution by our college. Finally, the partnership with the industries and the employers. Now let's see number 1. This is the Shenzhen Polytechnic. Altogether, we have got about 30,000 students, including full-time and part-time students. And we offered 85 programs in 16 schools. And based on different ranking in China's higher vocational colleges, almost every time we are ranked number 1 among the 1,423 colleges, Tibet colleges. And we have produced more than 120,000 graduates. And our graduate employment rate is at 96%. And our graduate entrepreneurship rate is 12.7% in 3 years. And 10% of all of our graduates are running their own or their family enterprises. They have created about 17,000 jobs to the society. Okay, this is our systematic innovation framework. Okay, and as Shamal had mentioned, for the Tibet College, we shall adopt systematic innovation, not just one point. It shall be systematic one. You can see we have different ones. We have teaching and learning. We have research and development. We have global engagement. We have social engagement. We have different ones. And also we have the quality assessment innovation to guarantee the quality of teaching and learning and the different innovation. And now let's see the artificial intelligence impacts on TVET. Okay, I think I will not go into details about definition. Everybody knows we try to transfer human brain into the digital brain. That's AI. And for AI development in China, you know, for the left, and we can see, for the left picture, we can see China's talents only listed number 5, I think. But, you know, we are developing quite fast. Our patents, our papers are developing very fast. And for this one, I don't have enough time to go through it. I need to go through this one. Yeah, for this one, you can find, okay, from this table, and altogether there will be 501 million jobs impacted, will be impacted by AI in the future, okay, in 30 years, in 10 years' time, okay. That's a huge number, okay, 501 million people, okay, their jobs will be impacted by artificial intelligence. And based on one of the experts from China, Lu Xin, okay, based on her study, and the talents of AI are divided into 4 categories. For the last 2, the third and the fourth category will account for 70% of all the total artificial intelligence talents. And the TVET shall be responsible for educating and produce this kind of people. So we have a lot of work to do. I will no time for this. Sorry, I prepared too many. Okay, now let's see China's policy on artificial intelligence. We have the National Artificial Intelligence Strategy. We also have the provincial one. Altogether, in China, we have more than 1,000 policies on artificial intelligence development. And this is our national strategy. I will not go into details for this one. And also UNESCO had issued the Beijing consensus on artificial and education. I think that's quite important to our UNESCO-UNEVOC community, which we should try to plus artificial intelligence in our education, try to realize the SDG 4. Now let's see the artificial intelligence solution by Shenzhen Polytechnic. Okay, the first one is developing artificial intelligence action plan of our school. This is our plan. Okay, number 2, we have established the artificial intelligence school to offer artificial intelligence programs. Number 3, we have established the One Greater Bay Area Artificial Intelligence Research Institute. We are just engaged applied research on AI. And then number 4, upgrading the education programs by embedding artificial intelligence technology in all the curriculum. And number 5, offer 2 common core AI curricula to all of our students. And then also we have constructed the 5G model campus, okay? If you enter our campus, you can find the 5G signal on your mobile phone. And number 7, we have established the Joint Robotic Training School. This is our artificial action plan. This is our framework, okay? And we have offered different programs related to artificial intelligence. You can see that. Virtual reality, IoT, robotics, mobile internet. And we also offered 2 common core artificial intelligence curricula. Number 1, AI operating skills. Number 2, AI concepts to all of our students. And now let's see the partnership with the industries and enterprises. Why do we mention this? Okay, in order to know the future skills, in order to know what they need for the industries and employers, the market needs, we need to engage them together. So we have done such works. such tasks. Number one, joint setup of industrial schools. We have set up 10 industrial schools with different employers. Number two, joint program steering committee composed of experts from industry, from employer, from government. And number three, joint teaching and learning model. We do it together. Number four, joint development of learning programs and a curriculum. We develop it together. Then number five, we have formed 21 joint teaching teams with the employers. Number six, joint development of qualification. We work with the industry and the employer to develop different qualification. Finally, joint development of innovation and entrepreneurship. Now let's see, that's our 10 industrial schools we formed with different employers. You can see Huawei and also different one, okay? And we try to integrate the government, the employer, and the TVET teachers together to form the steering committee to guide the program development. Then that's one of our model, okay? And we try to integrate curricula and the qualification together. And with this model, we just won the National Outstanding Prize of Education Achievement. And I think 82 of our programs are targeted on Shenzhen local industries. Okay, so we work with different employers to develop a different program cluster. Okay, we try to form different program clusters because just one specific program cannot guarantee the sustainable development of our students. So we need to train them to get the interdisciplinary competencies or capability or skills. That's our joint formulating curriculum standards. We try to transform the technical standards into our curriculum. And we have 21 joint teaching team with enterprise technicians. And we also employ some part-time teachers from employers, from industries. That's we have different qualifications developed with companies, with industries, okay? Finally, that's our joint development of innovation and entrepreneurship. We engage 30 TVET colleges and 11 enterprises to form the innovation and entrepreneurship community for TVET. Okay, thank you. That's my presentation.
Great, thanks Wenming. We can see why this is a UNEVOC center, and you have given us in less than 10 minutes a flavor for the richness of the work that you're doing, so thanks a lot. I was struck by a number you had at the beginning, which is 10% of graduates opening their own business. I think I'd like to come back to that later because I think that's an indication that there is something very interesting going on. We move now to the experience of Singapore, and we have Boon from the Temasek Polytechnic.
Well, good afternoon. Thank you again. I understand the slides will be made available to you, so I will also run through fairly quickly some parts of my slides. As we progress, you probably realize we are all similarly structured, so I will spend less time on the structure of the institution that I come from. The topic that I'm given is really focused on professional development of TVET teachers and trainers. The agenda, it is what I will address, setting the context a little bit, but I'll run through that very quickly. Focusing more on the kinds of professional development, or PD, that we provide to this important element in the whole TVET ecosystem, really the programs for our teachers and our trainers. This is just too much for you. Similar in terms of flow, education structure, where we are. Temasek Poly is somewhere in the green part. After 10 years of general education, students can choose to either go the TVET path or the academic path, taking the A-levels. But you can see from the orange arrows, there is now also flow back from the workplace. So in the past few years, we've been kind of, we're not just preparing 17 to 20-year-olds for the workplace, but earlier on, I think we talked about continuing VET, right? So people from the workplace coming back, they are from 20 years old to 80 years old. So suddenly there's really a big market for us, opportunity. I won't run through that. This is really the focus of polytechnics, very similar to many of you I've spoken to. There are 5 polytechnics in Singapore. We have, this was from last year's statistics, over 70,000 students going to the 5 polytechnics distributed throughout. So we have about 14 to 15,000 students enrolled in the polytechnic. This is more recent, again, in response to digitalization, in response to the VUCA world that we are living, the uncertain world. Skills Future is a national movement. Really, Singapore government is trying to be more systematic and more connected with various stakeholders. And so they are supporting institutions like us to connect with the industry, to identify exactly what the industry needs. I mean, this resonates with the earlier presentation from this panel about engaging the industry, asking them, what exactly do you need? What kind of skills, when after 3 years of achieving the diploma, what do you need them to be able to do so that our curriculum can be aligned to theirs? So the 4 key thrusts of Skills Future are those things. We're trying to do better in terms of career advisement. We are really very much focused now on integrated high-quality system of education and training. That's our responsibility, and therefore our focus are on the right. All those are our key focus at the moment. My colleagues have been working pretty hard in these areas. I will not run through this. Okay. Here, we're talking about industry engagement, partnerships. I think that's very important. Having staff who are experts in their field being part of the institution. So we do, like you, we have a lot of partnerships with industry, and they either have a learning space within our environments, or we have, for example, interns going to their industry. So I listed 2 there. One is with Lufthansa in aerospace engineering. The other one is with NVIDIA in AI. And there are many more of these centers of excellence throughout the Polytechnic. And that's where our staff and our students can connect with their industry. Okay, in terms of professional development for teachers, this is really the focus of my presentation. We have a learning pathway for all our teachers and trainers, a fairly systematic one. For those who are new, we have a foundation program to prepare them for teaching and learning at this level, followed by certificate programs, and then role-based programs. Role-based are really those who are taking different responsibilities, either as program chairs, course chairs, academic mentoring, and so on. But increasingly, we also realize that partnerships and connections with peers are important, and so we provide other opportunities for professional development in those areas. A bit too much detail here, just to share with you. One of our certificate is actually jointly developed with all the other polytechnics. We have recently been able to do that. Early on, I think one of the panel members also talked about pooling of resources. I think this is a simple innovation that we can do, pooling resources with other like-minded institutions. And this is a joint certificate that we offered to all new lecturers, and eventually when they move from one polytechnic to another, they can basically use the same certificate for recognition of prior learning. Like I said, our staff recently have to engage with classroom that's very diverse. You have a 21-year-old in the classroom, and you have a 55-year-old in the classroom. And so we provided this program, Adult Continuing Education, for all our teachers and trainers, knowing that people from the workplace come with different challenges when they re-enter the classroom. What do we need to address, and so on. Okay. Another certificate program, early on, some of you talked about, I think, TEL, Certificate in Technology Enhanced Learning. This is one that we are doing quite aggressively, recognizing that this is how we may need to engage with our younger learners. Just an overview of the different kinds of role-based programs we have. Again, these are joint polytechnic programs that we've developed. We recognize that there are really a lot of talents, really different kinds of experience, different teacher trainers come with, so we kind of connected with them. And this, we are working on this program. It should be ready in 6 to 12 months. I think beyond programs, I think it's important that to recognize that learning do not just take place in programs and workshops like this. We come in, we lock ourselves up for 3 hours, 6 hours, and then when we go back, what do we do with it? I think that's the important thing. It's easy to get numbers. You can have policies to say that every staff need 100 hours of training, but so what after that? I think this is the question that we need to ask. After teachers have come for training, what do they do with it? We need them to change their practice. We need to see changes in the classrooms. And this is where we are focusing our efforts now, right? We have lecturers or teachers who have 20 years of experience. I'm sure you have heard about this one. Is it 1 year of experience repeated 20 times? Teachers who have not changed their practice for the longest time? Or is it real experience, building on 1 year after another, changing, adapting to enhance teaching and learning practice? And this is where we are focusing our effort on. So we are really moving away from one-size-fits-all programs that are not connected or embedded in the day-to-day work of lecturers. Sometimes the timing, in terms of timing or in terms of need, there may be a mismatch. So you have lecturers, teachers coming to your classroom, but they don't really need this program. And then they get frustrated and so on. So we really need to move away from the one-size-fits-all towards learning continuously. I think we spoke about teachers being a real model for lifelong learning also. And these are the kinds of, these are focus that we are addressing. Customized to individual needs. That means lecturers bring your real classroom challenges to us, teachers, educators, and we can work with you. And this can be an effective form of professional development. Just in time, community supported. Teachers need to realize that there are people who are facing the same challenges as they themselves, and when they get together, put their heads together, they can address a real issue in the classroom. Inquiry-based, ask what do you want to change in the classroom and how can you do better. Innovation focused and responsive to classroom context. That is really the outcome that we want. Okay, there are 4 examples that I can share with you from what we've done at Temasek Polytechnic, and these are the 4 of them. Co-creation of digital learning modules, funding support for innovation, use of data to improve teaching practice, and collaborative design of learning spaces. Okay, so this is an example of PD, or professional development, that is customized to needs of lecturers, just in time, and community supported. Now, as the polytechnics in Singapore got together, we also we have kind of worked on what we call Poly Mall, which is really a Singapore version of MOOCs for the TVET space for all polytechnics. So instead of replicating efforts, we are working together, coordinating, harmonizing what we are doing, so that different polytechnics, for example, may focus on different disciplines, building online modules. So we have teachers who are interested in this, but they have no time. We created a program where they come together for 6 to 12 months. They are relieved of their teaching duties, but they are focusing on creating a product at the end of this process. So it's heavy investment, but very thankful that the Polytechnic management has given their support for this staff to be relieved of their teaching, focusing on learning, about instructional designing, developing e-learning modules and so on. So those are some things that they've been developed in use of various tools and with outcomes. So at the end of the 12 years, they need to develop these modules for the community, not just within Temasek Poly, but across the 5 polytechnics in Singapore. And those are really good outcomes for. So.
We don't have time for the other 3, but can you pick maybe one of the other 3 examples? And then we can
Yeah. Okay. The other example, funding support for innovation. Again, we've set up a fund for lecturers to think about how do you change classroom practice with technology. Again, they are given some support in terms of fund, in terms of time, and the outcome is they are willing to try, they are willing to fail, and share their experience with other colleagues within the Polytechnic. So again, some outcomes in terms of number of projects. These are lecturers with no prior experience, for example, with AR, VR, 3D creation, but with some time and some support, they are able to do something to change classroom practice. Okay. Use of data, I think increasingly, I think this is one competency that all teachers need to have. I used to be a teacher. I've taught for 10 years, and I thought the best lesson is when I teach, nobody is talking, like all of you here, right? For 1 hour, I can go through 100 slides and no response, quiet class. I would think that that was a good class. But is that so? I mean, how do I know? How do I know how students are responding to my lesson? Do I know? So we're trying to build in this mindset that you can actually tease out what students know in the middle of the class, get some response, and be more responsive in your teaching. And the use of analytics will help teachers do that. And then finally, and this is also very interesting because we have other stakeholders involved. This is with students. Students spend most of their waking hours in school. And we need to create engaging learning spaces for them, both formal learning spaces and informal. Because after the formal class, they're outside within the Polytechnic. What are they doing? How are they engaging with each other? This is where we got students involved because we have an opportunity to rework some of our spaces within the Polytechnic. For the longest time, we are given spaces by estates department who knows nothing about teaching and learning. And here, we have an opportunity to engage with stakeholders, both staff and students, to think about how they want to reshape the learning spaces and to make the campus a more sticky one. And that was a very good experience. Yep, so this is a summary of what I've shared, but really the focus is we want to engage teachers beyond programs. What is it that they want to change in the classroom? Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. What's striking is that the Skills Future Singapore is adopting this lifelong learning approach, not just to the learning, but also to the teachers. And we have seen a great, I think, example of how you translate this into the practice. So thanks for that. We have now a final presentation, and then we will have about half an hour for questions. So please start thinking about the questions you have in mind. Because I have some questions, but I think I prefer to have the audience ask questions. So start thinking about what you want to ask. So when we come to the discussion, we can have maybe some interaction to end the day on an interactive note. But before we do that, we have a presentation crossing the Pacific. We move to Canada and Denise.
Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Thank you to UNESCO-UNEVOC for the invitation. So amazing how many similarities across the world, despite the size of our country, that is quite different. Basically, this is Canada, for those of you that have never had the chance to visit it. As you can see, our colleges are literally everywhere. So I always say to people, we look like someone like you in the world, because we have isolated urban, northern, rural, and also marine, coastal institutions. And we have about 1 million students in the college level and 10,000 programs. So I was asked to talk about teacher qualifications and competency frameworks. And you will see that it's a challenge when, in fact, you don't have one federal Ministry of Education. And in fact, we have 13 different ministries responsible for education. And on top of it, the teacher qualifications are very specific in terms of elementary school and high school. But when it's time for post-secondary colleges and polytechnics, it's quite vague. There's nothing that is specific, but you will see how colleges themselves have decided to address this, because they say we cannot just take people from the industry and expect and think that they will be able to teach. So, and despite the fact that education is of provincial and territorial jurisdictions, despite the size of the country, you will see there are many similarities across the country on how teacher qualifications and competency framework is used from a teacher training point of view. So the first thing I want to say is share some characteristics among those institutions. So some of those characteristics or the fact that everybody is concerned about the pace of change, the pace of AI that you talked about earlier, climate change. It's a big, big issue for us in Canada. You can just see there's water everywhere, basically. So, of course, big issue for us. And also when you have the ice that is melting, it's not better. Future of work, the importance of learning to learn. So lifelong learning is something that every single teacher or teacher-to-be takes into account, skills gaps, mismatch, and that adults, and nobody has mentioned that yet, adults are of different age groups now. It's no more people coming from high school. In fact, you had your arrow in orange that were coming back, because we have those adult learners that are coming back, and very close relationships with the industry, very, very close, so that they influence the curriculum, they influence the skills, the competencies that are needed, the equipment as well. But now what is interesting is that the industry is beginning to say to faculty, what do you think we need? And that's a new phenomenon. It used to be them always saying what they needed, but now they're lost a bit. And they are saying, what do you think we need? So, and this is something that we need to ensure that our faculty, our teachers, know how to answer that, how to address that. So those are some of the common characteristics, despite the fact that you have this minestrone of purple dots that is there. Now some of the premises, some of the things that happen. So our faculty, most of them, they come from the industry. Most of them. They had, previous to being a teacher, it means that they work in the industry. Second is that they have access in those purple dots to internal services. Sometimes it's called Learning Academy, sometimes it's called Center of Excellence of Pedagogy, but they all have access to a body within the college. Even when they are very tiny college, there is someone that can support them from a pedagogical perspective. Third thing is that many of the faculty go back, meaning they get some updating, because they know that they cannot continue to teach like they were teaching 20 years ago because the industry has changed. So it means that they need to keep up with the change that there is with the industry. And that's why faculty are very much encouraged to keep having linkages with the industry and go back in the summer, even if it is for a few weeks, go back in the industry to get some updated skills if you want. Two other characteristics that I want to mention is that something that many of them, not all, but many of them do, is that they keep a personal teaching portfolio. A personal teaching portfolio. What it is, it's literally a portfolio of what is it that you're doing for your teaching. What kind of courses did you take? What kind of approach did you take? Do you have a mentor, for example? Did you take some additional courses, like let's say in AI or in another field, to keep up and to ensure that you are doing continuous learning? Did you read a good book recently that is helping you? So a teaching portfolio, so that when they go for a new job, they're able to say, this is how I have kept up with my pedagogy, my teaching, my skills. And the last thing that I will say, and two of the speakers spoke about it, but they didn't use the same terminology. Us, for our 10,000 programs, no matter where in this country, there is a program advisory committee. That program advisory committee provides advice on the curriculum, on the equipment, on the skills, on the competencies, on labor market information, so that at all times the programs are up to date. So it means that the faculty, if they don't know what the industry is talking about, needs to know and be on the leading edge. So that was the common characteristics and the premises. And so now I'll give you 4 examples of how some of those institutions are doing it. Some that I will talk about are done maybe in 50 places, but I thought I would just use 4 typical examples that are maybe of interest to you. One is at College Algonquin. And what they do, they have this center. You remember when I talked about this body of knowledge that existed in one of the college? So they call theirs the Center for Organizational Learning. So they're there to support faculty. And what they do, they developed a competency framework that I will share with you for the they call it the 21st century framework for professor. And this is a 1-year program that is designed specifically for those that arrive in their first year of teaching. So, and this means there are weekly sessions in person, and there are some sessions that are online, and they are being given the opportunity to discuss with other colleagues that are also in their first year to see, are they encountering difficulties? Do they have challenges? What are they observing? And and I'll show you the 7 principles that I was talking about. I won't read the 7 because you can read also, but you will see that there are 4 that are specifically linked to learning. The first one linked to the learning environment, to create and maintain this. And it's for adults because the average age of our students is 27. It's not 17. Second one is really take into account a variety of learners. So you talked about not a one systems for all. That's typical of that. The third one, ensuring that there are a variety of tools and strategy to assess the learning. The fourth one, still related to learning, is to have access to different resources. And the three others are really to help that new teacher to develop, still in their portfolio, a reflective practice, so that they think, they reflect after, they just don't get rolling like a mouse in a wheel, but they develop this muscle of reflecting. How was my day? What did I do? What else could I have done to improve? And the second one is to ensure that they use technology, to its maximum. And the last one, of course, is to ensure that in the discipline that they have, they think about the other notions, whether from a social area or an economic perspective, basically the SDGs. That's what it means. The second one that I thought I would talk about was a province-wide consistency. This is very interesting because in BC, they decided to have the same program for everybody. And the Vancouver Community College issue a diploma for those people that come from the industry that would like to teach. And the teachers have to do it within a certain amount of time. And what is very interesting is that although this is developed for BC, now Alberta and Yukon are also using the same type of diploma that is offered both online as well as in presence. And it's very interesting that they also developed two other portions, one specifically if you teach trades, and the other one only if you teach only online. Because of course there are different ways, different approaches that you have to think depending what it is that you are teaching. And I thought that this one was quite interesting because it was used by more than one province. This one I thought I would talk about, this is in Quebec. Quebec is the only province in our country that developed a specific association that is focusing on the pedagogy of a college, of a post-secondary college. The only one in the country. Any one of you can register to that. It's really not expensive to become a member. And they issue a magazine 4 times a year that is strictly on the pedagogy. Like a couple of months ago, they had something specific for Indigenous. Another time, they had something specific for online. And what they do, they organize a conference every 2 years, but they also organize packages of things related to pedagogy. For example, about inclusion, and those were examples. They have others on evaluation. They have others on how to evaluate group. How do you evaluate one individual if they work in a group? How do you evaluate creativity? All kinds of very specific issues that sometimes as a faculty, you really don't know how to. There's even one on ethics, because ethics is important, you know. My ethic is different than your ethics, but if you're a teacher and you have a variety of individuals, how do you assess ethics? So really, really interesting. To my knowledge, I don't know any other organizations like that one in the world. There may be some, so please let me know so that I'll know next time, but very, very interesting. The next one, I thought, because this is an international forum, I thought I would use this one. It's something that is being done by one of our institutions. It's called the Justice Institute of British Columbia. And what they did, they developed a partnership with the University de Guadalajara in Mexico, because they realized that they had the same challenges with respect to mobile learning. And they decided to develop together modules to learn how to teach with respect to mobile learning, because it's different, it's a new way, and you're learning. And when they were talking about the fact we speak different languages, we have different culture, but we have the same challenges. And in fact, they even won an award by the Open Education Consortium for the modules that they had developed to enhance student access to post-secondary educations by using mobile technologies into their own courses to enhance learning outcomes. So really, really interesting strategy. I thought I would mention also, when you talk about faculty, it's nice to have teachers, but you also need to have administrators. So one of the things that we do in my associations, we have a brochette of leadership institutes. From you're a teacher and you would like to become a manager. You are a manager, but now you would like to become a dean. You're a dean and now you would like to become a vice president. A vice president. You're a vice president and now you would like to be a president. And you're a president and it's lonely at the top. What do you do? So we have this series, and I'm telling you, we are always keeping each year 5 seats for each for international. So if any one of you is interested in any of those leadership institutes, let me know. But what we have discovered is that that type of learning, you could not only have it at the institutional level. It was better to have it as much as possible with different levels. For example, when I did the one of president last year, I had someone from Hong Kong, Denmark, Peru, and Australia. The learning was extraordinary because at the end of the day, you all have different challenges. So I'll wrap it up. So that's an example. And so I'll stop here. If you have questions.
Thanks a lot.
I got enthused.
No, I think you gave us a wonderful picture of how you go from different challenges, but then find examples of practical solutions, which I think is the brief we all got from Shaimal. He wants us to stop talking about big ideas and see how do we translate them into practice. So I think that's what the panel has done brilliantly. If we can put up the word cloud, we see what you have been thinking while we were talking here. And we have the words here. And what I will ask you to do is to raise your hands and ask questions and tell me if your questions are bringing out any of these words that we have here. And then we'll see where the questions will go. I will ask you to do 3 things when you ask the question. Tell me who you are, your institution, and then take no more than a couple of minutes. Who wants to start? Please.
Hello, my name is Aladdin. I'm a high school student at Herningsholm. My question is for experience. I know Ms. Amiet and Mr. Yang have talked a bit about it, like how the teachers and mentors can be experienced in the industry. But how can we make it more attractive for those the people who have this experience to teach the students? For example, in WorldSkills, Beach PageMaker, our mentors, they were directly from a company called HP, which I think most of you know it. They teach something they know. Like, we had someone who was expert in 3D printing and someone who was expert in marketing, and they all helped us in this niche they were experts in. How can we make it more attractive for more people to do the same? Thank you.
Great, thanks. Attractiveness for experienced professionals. Who else has a question they want to share with us? Come on, you've been listening all day. You must have questions.
Okay, my name is Karolina Maduna. I come from Croatia, Agency for Vocational Education and Training. My question is for Mrs. Madame Denise. You mentioned that most of your teachers come from the industry sector. Can you tell me what is the incentive for them to transfer to education? Is it competitive salaries or something completely different? Thank you.
Okay, thanks. That's a great question, which I think other members of the panel might also contribute to. Do we have a third question, and then we come back to the panel? Yes.
I'm Hubert Ertl from the Federal Institute for Vocational Education and Training here in Bonn. Thank you to the panel. You mainly talked about professional development of people working at colleges, vocational schools, polytechnics, and I wonder what, from your experience, we could learn from the innovative approaches that you were talking about for trainers in company-based training, which is a slightly different perspective, but I'm sure there are common ideas, common approaches to innovative ways of developing professional practice.
Great, thanks. So we start with the 3 questions and start thinking we have time for a second round. So I will ask the panel members also to respond, but to keep it brief so we can push our audience to be a bit more creative with the questions. So let's start maybe in the opposite order also, because there was a question directly for you. Please, Denise.
Okay, so I'll try to be very quick. I think number 1 and number 2 are similar, attractiveness and incentives. So it's certainly not competitive salary, okay? Because teaching is not the place where you'll make money, at least in my country. But the way to be attracted is sometimes there are people that are moving cities, and the industry in which they were working is maybe not available to work there as a company, but there's a possibility for a job in a college. There's the possibility of growth also in a college that you may not have in your company, because if I don't know, if you were a welder or if you were a chef, and suddenly you have the chance not only to teach, but to become a dean or to become a vice president. And there is this sense of not being alone anymore. Sometimes there are people when they work in their industry, it can be quite lonely. And when you work in a college, there's a kind of a family. So those things are incentive. I would say the benefits are quite good also compared to the benefits of working in the industry because of the summer and all things like that. And to come back to the other questions, trainers in companies, this is a fabulous question. And we do that sometimes in our institutions, which we call train the trainers. They come to receive the training, and then they teach it to their peers and their colleagues. We do that a lot with SAIT, NATE, a number of our colleges or polytechnics, and those are direct requests from the industry when they come. So,
great,
in
thanks.
a nutshell.
Boone, do you have something to add?
Just
or
add, yeah.
different perspective?
Yep, just to attracting industry partners to play a role in the polytechnic, yeah, it's definitely not money, I think. But recently we've been fortunate to engage them because they realize we really have to get them on board. To be a equal stakeholder in this, in VET, rather than having sent our students after training them for 3 years and then on their first day of work, they realize that there's a mismatch, right? So I think the returns for them is they will be able to get more readily relevant, skilled graduates from the polytechnic. So that's definitely one. Or early identification of talent that they can hire. I think some of them are really looking for hungry students like this tree sitting in front of us. And if we can get them to link up early rather than after they graduate, I think that's also a win for them. So really a win-win for these companies. Yep.
Great, thanks. Wenming?
And to my understanding, to attract the industries or employers to engage in the polytechnic, the Tibet education, I think in China, this morning I have mentioned, just like in my city, we have a lot of medium and small-sided companies. They need our technical support from Tibet colleges. So they often turn to us for help in training their trainers, in training their employees. So we have a lot of cooperation. They just turn to us because we can help each other. We can support each other. They can supply teachers. They can supply their technical experts, engineers to our college to train our students. At the same time, we can offer technical support to them. We can offer teachers to train their trainers, to train their employees. So we help each other. And even we can develop I have mentioned, we can develop a program or curriculum together. We can develop qualification together. In this way, our wisdom can get together. Okay, we can form strong power to empower the industries, employers, also empower our college. Okay, and yeah, I think I answered the two questions.
Thank you.
Okay, maybe I would like to add something to the last question. Trainers in companies and instructors in companies. For example, in our case, as I said before, we have real challenges. Okay, so from the moment that we are working on the same challenge, teachers and learners and trainers or instructors, we are transferring the knowledge from one to each other. So this connection is the secret for us. We teach the trainers and then teach our teachers or our learners. So for us it's very, very important. Also, when we are designing, I don't know, collaborative innovation projects, when we start doing this kind of initiatives, we are learning about what kind of innovation is running this company. So for us, it's a very, very important feedback.
Great, thanks a lot. We have a few more minutes. If you look at the word clouds here, when Pooja and I thought about it at the beginning, we had guessed most of the big words, but what's interesting is the small ones, I think, because in the small ones, maybe is the suggestions that are not immediately obvious. So especially if you are one of the ones who see themselves in one of the small suggestions there, tell us, have we missed something? Is there something that you thought should come up and has not come up? Or do you have a question that should maybe force us to look a bit more at the practice? One question there, one there and one here.
Hi, good evening. Paolo Nardi from Cometa Formazione Italy. Thank you very much for your presentation. There is somewhere there the word motivation. So I was wondering why a teacher should implement those interesting activities that you have explained. Why a teacher should implement ETASI in Euskadi or access these special offices for updating Canada and so on and so forth. What is, in your experience, the secret? And I have a second question, if you have time, about the trigger. In your cases, what is the starting point that brought this innovation in the system? The policymakers or the institution, the teacher, the learners? I'm very interested on that. Thank you.
Great, thanks. We have Shaimal.
This is a corollary to Paulo's questions. I think I was one time director of a technical teachers training institute in India. If you ask me frankly, as a faculty member, two problems always I see very difficult. Teachers are very difficult people. You know, they are very egoistic. I never seen teachers work together in rare occasions. I'm surprised when I visited Technica. The teacher, student work together, taking the challenge, working overtime. Really, it impressed me. What is the magic? Does they fear of the job or it is voluntary?
Great question. And one question over there.
Hi, I'm Oliver from BMBF. Maybe it goes into the same direction. We have a big structural problem in Germany. We say that our vocational training teachers are too old, too, I don't want to use the word egoistic, but there's maybe a lack to move towards the new technologies, maybe towards the new pedagogy. How do you approach that? We tend to think in more structures, maybe more pressure, but maybe that's the wrong idea. So I'm inspired from Wenming. You say we have to come together, work together, and create a new power. How do you do that, please?
Great. Yep.
One of the small words that I wrote, it was competition, because I think competition is a very important key for innovation, because it's like a drive for everybody to compete against each other, who has the most innovative solution, who has the most innovative process. And it was a key for Denmark development the latest years, as well as Estonia and many other countries.
Great, thanks. So if I interpret the mood of the questions, you have given a lot of inspiring examples, but the audience doesn't really believe you too much. They say, you know, what's the secret? How do you actually motivate them? How do you do it? How you deliver? So you have 2 minutes each to convince them that you are actually telling the truth. Who wants to go first?
So I'm a former teacher too. It's too bad we were not a teacher together. I would have convinced you. I think the advantage of being a teacher is that it's when you recruit them. If you recruit them because they are focused on their learner, that's the magic. If they are focused on their discipline, don't take them. And you have to recruit people that are willing to learn, because you want them to instill this desire to learn. So if they don't have it themselves, don't take them. I think this is part of the magic sauce. So focus on learner and wanting to learn to learn. I think the advantage of when you're a teacher, it's there is this community of practice where you can share. Often in your own discipline, if you're one employee, sometimes in a small and medium enterprise, you're alone. And I think that's what attracts people when they come to the teaching world. They discover this other world where it's really interesting to give back. And there is, I'm sure it's the same word in English, ageism, okay? Sometimes in some professions, there is ageism. And I believe that in the college systems, I don't see it as much as in the disciplines ageism, because there is this gift when you give what you know and you receive at the same time. And I think that's where the motivations comes for teachers, where their stories, what happened, their experience, become wow, I have all that to offer. So, and I think that's what makes a teacher a teacher. It's the joy of giving back.
Great, that's from a teacher's mouth, so fantastic. Who's next? Boon.
Yeah, I'll just add something or echo what Shaima has said about teachers. Really hard to teach teachers, yeah. After teaching students for 10 years, when I moved to teacher training, I thought it was going to get easier, but it's harder because it's such a wide range. Student population is homogeneous, but teachers are amazingly stubborn, yeah. So I think we really need to kind of, but I think your point was important, Denise, about getting the right people on board. Teachers need to be ready to learn and model that lifelong learning disposition, willing to change. In today's world, nobody knows everything. I mean, in our parents' time, a teacher is supposed to know everything. That's why no need to learn anything or change. But now, no more. I mean, and we must be open enough to say, no, I do not know how to do that, and I can do it, probably with a partner. A response to older teachers, I think we should see older teachers as a resource. They have vast experience, and that's how we're working with them. I think we recognize that they have vast experience. And so in the use of technology, we partner them with a younger person as long as they have trust for each other and same goal of wanting to improve teaching and learning. I think they can go quite far together. So give me a good teacher rather than one who is so interested in technology first. I always look for a good teacher. A good teacher will do what is required to improve practice, I think. Yeah, thanks.
Great advice. Ricardo?
Yes, about the motivation, and I'm going to speak about our situation in the Basque Country. We more or less twice per year we have a general meeting with the Vice Ministry of Vocational Educational Training with all our teachers, apart from different congresses and different smaller meetings, and we use each meeting to give them all the information of the real situation, all the information about which are the real needs of companies, but not only needs of companies, also of the society, also of the, I don't know, the municipalities, and also in a local level. And maybe we know that teachers have different fears. So we give them the possibility to meet between them and to share their fears, their illusions, and we design different dynamics to share this information. So they started losing these fears, okay? And maybe doing this, we create the necessity to change their mindset, okay? Sharing and networking, and we use this kind of dynamics to motivate our teachers and our trainers.
Great, thanks, Ricardo. And last word, Wenming.
Okay, I think that's a tough question to me. And I know to be a teacher is very challenging, and it's quite a risky job in some way, because you need to deal with, just like the teachers, the faculty in our college, they need to do teaching and learning. They need to apply the research. They need to do social engagement. They need to do global engagement. They have a lot of different tasks. But to be one teacher in our college is very competitive. We only enroll the teachers with a PhD degree. Without PhD degree, you cannot enter our college nowadays. And another condition is that all of our teachers need to be two masters. One is the master in teaching and learning techniques. Another master is in operating, in technical, in engineering things. So to be one teacher is very competitive in our school, in our college, because our teachers make a lot of money than most of people working in companies. So nowadays we have, in our college, we have 217 professors. We have 660 associate professors. We have 410 PhD holders. Our teachers, our teachers' qualification are better than most of the research university teachers. So we can have very good teachers. So money is the main motivation for our teachers. Yeah, that's one thing. Another thing is that we have the program adjusting mechanism. If the program is not popular with the students, only 1 or 10 students, register for this program, the program will be discarded, be thrown away. The teachers will have no job. They will lose job. They will have no money. Every year we have evaluation on the program development. Okay, we have the evaluation is based on data. We employ the third-party company to make survey for our graduates, for the company reaction. Then we get the data. Okay, so from the data we can decide this program you can enroll more students. Okay, and for this one you are fired. Go away. So that's the main motivation. That's the main secret in our college. Okay, thank you.
You were skeptical, and now you heard it. There are different ways of doing it, and all of them are effective in different ways. But I think the true answer is that it's a mix of all. Before we give a big round of applause, I have 3 small announcements to make. One is a bit pro domo for ATF. We have done a number of small research on what gets teachers involved in their own development, and we have tried to understand what works. The question of motivation, attractiveness, the power of demonstration is on our website. If you're interested, is here. Then UNEVOC has asked me to also flag that the results of the virtual conference on the future of TVET teaching and learning is now available. I think it will be launched today, so you can find it also online. And lastly, there is the ongoing trends mapping on TVET teaching survey. And here you have the link, and you can contribute through this link. So the last thing I have to do is just to ask you to join me in giving a big round of applause to our panel.
I think big round of applause to the moderator.